Go ahead. Today is the birthday of Saint Francis of Assisi, who was holy in his natural desire to live in accordance with his true nature without harming himself and others. Government and I know all the rules with everyone in very good relationship and solve any question that I need to solve. And I'm watching a huge amount of absolute absurdity, so I have set myself the next task. How can I do it in such a way as to be independent from this absurdity and more to be in a joy of what joy is for me? So I invite my friends. We all know well each other. We interact, we have kind of friendly prices, some goods, services. Basically, we live being at the same time participants of what the government calls itself and existing in parallel in these two worlds. So I really thought, how do we interact in the desired one, which is really natural for every intelligent person, just like to breathe? That means to come home, to be surrounded by love, to come up with some stuff with your friends, to help each other if there is help in this, because any intelligent person lives like that. I don't know any intelligent person who would not live like that, because it's natural. Someone have more wide social circle, someone less. It is formed over the life of mostly random things. It turns out that there is a peculiarity of the psyche, such a limitation of thinking, which does not allow me, as a highly developed primate, to keep the number of social contacts. The Dunbar number, yes. The Dunbar number is the restriction that fully coincides with how the first 150 man tribes lived. This is a harmonious community where coercion by force against the will of another is generally unacceptable. And I put one simple task. If I have these 150 people, and my friend, let's say Felix, another 150, we shared these very friends whom is 30, and all the others that are also intelligent and that he already has in this network, I cannot see them physically. They only appear if I make tremendous efforts. That means Felix must say, listen, I have such a problem here, one thing and another. And he starts to think, to communicate with someone. This is archaic, basically Stone Age. Task is to find all intelligent people for him and for me. I cannot embrace more than 150 people, but in a constructive, applied interaction, which is always current, actual, something you can feel and what benefits everyone, because in such compatibility the joy of everyone is desired for any other naturally. Today the mathematical problem is the manifestation of disparate, decentralized clusters of parity in the network. Because it is impossible to create a decentralized network, consent models are not created by coercion. Any limitation of mind is coercion. It is necessary to give to what exists in the form of a network, and this will be an absolutely live network that will begin to structure itself. How can I overcome this number of Dunbar which limits me, forcing me to be dependent in the majority of my activities on the existing state system to which I belong, as its participant and creator at the same time? Because I am its creator, since I have money in my pocket, it means that I pay this tax on meaningless, thanks to which there are all the institutions that have lost their content but keep retain their form. This is possible in case of two compliance conditions, when there is a certain general meaning, whatever it is, which is relevant for everyone, when there is a tool that helps to organize the joint participation of many in achieving this actual sense. Since there are infinitely many meanings, starting from the fact that you can go to barbecue, which can be come down formally to money sense, any other general sense in worldly applied meaning, in that you can feel can be come down to money sense as well. So if someone tells me, I want to fly to Mars, you can clearly find out how much it costs and organize this trip. Today we are limited only by our imagination. In order to understand what tool do you need, we need to think about how the interaction works in the models of agreement. In the models of agreement, interaction occurs and something first arises that is relevant, then there is an exchange of intentions, you can imagine it, then there is a transition of intentions into obligations, and then the execution of some kind of common roadmap to achieve a common sense. So it is an organizer of social interaction which allows and which should fix several types of obligations, fix the moment of transition of some obligations to others. Do you know what it looks like? It's like WIST in preference. The two. This is, for example, some kind of phone application which allows dispatching mutual obligations in reference environments, basically creating any kinds of activity and operating with obligations to achieve a common sense that is discussed from outside. Facebook is a place where we can discuss anything, agree, and to manage how we interact. It is like a different tool. It is an organic part resulting from the first. Otherwise, it doesn't work, and otherwise the efficiency is very low. So, the general sense is, in my opinion, decentralized system of mutual social insurance, which provides everyone involved in this network structure with complete confidence in what is called tomorrow. That means no one will be hungry, that no one won't be thrown into the street, that no one will not be alone with his misfortune. That is the only sense, in my opinion, for the sake of what people come together in society. Everything else is the essence of the evil one. On the day when Francis of Assisi was born, I say it again, I am going to be in consonance with others unless I am forced with a pistol at the back of my head, of my own free will, only so that there is more good, because the joy of the other is naturally for mine joy too, and my joy cannot be from the grief of another. This is a postulate which is unbreakable. This is the point over which everything should be built. All the rest is not considered at all. You know, considering that you also breed rare animals, you really have a lot in common with Francis of Assisi. And we are actually the founders breeds of the breed of Packwell forest cats. This is a domesticated cat that lives in the forests of Bay of Kotor, which are distinguished by pink noses, tassels in the ears, and characteristic fluffy tail. You can always come to Stonebridge, we live in the mountains, and look at these wonderful animals, distinguished by intelligence and ingenuity. Further, there are only two variants of the development of events judging by what is happening. A breakdown in total chaos, generally in financial, and other objectively in numbers. Or a certain transformation of the social model for which there are all conditions and all grounds, or breakdown into a form that will be qualitatively different in terms of productivity in relation to the present, if by productivity we understand the common good and the multiplication of the common good as a task. They were sitting 2000 years ago, smoking and saying, let's make the prosecutor's office do it, right here, so that it balances, otherwise somebody will get to the top and will become crazy. All of it's man-made. The model of the society in which we live is man-made. It did not always exist, just at the time of its creation, when it had the highest synergy that could give in the form of energy concentration of everyone. Therefore, we have achieved a life in the civilization of the Anglo-Saxon, Judeo-Christian, positivist civilization, to which I belong as well, in which there is an abundance that has never been thought of before. Do you know how to calculate it? This is the cumulative total external debt of all existing countries, plus all the expenses for the entire defense industry, plus all the costs of maintaining institutions that have lost their sense, but remain in shape, plus this one is a tax on meaningless. Where did it come from? It came from our interaction with each other as beneficiaries of this model, according to the rules created 2000 years ago. That's all. Yes, please. My name is Alina Titova. I have a question for Andrei. You have mentioned operating obligations in parity communities. What did you mean? How does it work? I'll explain to you. When we are just going to do something in common, we can come down it to money, exchange intentions, define the rules for which these intentions apply. That's it. It's needed to explain to you the essence of the machine that works. It is fully described, it exists, and basically it is the task of coordination our actions in relation to achieving common goals. Not only financial ones, that's all. But it doesn't contain any payment instruments. It is not them, only records. So it comes down to money. It comes down to money outside. Caesar what is Caesar's, and there is a common sense, commitments and so on. There is no other tool? No, it's not needed. It is the ultimate tool that describes the interaction in constructive compatibility here in this type of community. So, in fact, what has been done? It is described what the economy of a happy family is, economy of consent, I call it, like the economy of coercion, in which I am conditioned and I live. And the technical problem is solved. In what way? Through the creation of this tool here, scattered clusters can manifest themselves as a decentralized network that exists on the fact of their existence for intelligent people in achievement the common goals. That's all.